How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the homestead, and welcome to the first video in the Modern Mountain Man series. Now, as I talked about in the introduction video to this series, we're going to be talking about basically what it means to be a modern day mountain man and the things that entails. The first thing that comes to mind is surviving the winter. If you're living in the mountains, especially in a more northern environment like I am here in North Idaho, you got to heat your house through the winter time. And for a modern day mountain man, that still means firewood, just as it did for the original mountain men. Now we're going to talk about not just processing, but also storage. And behind me is how I used to store the majority of my firewood. Now, of course, I would keep some inside the house and up by the house in case of a storm and whatnot, but this is how I would store the majority of it. Just stacked up or piled up behind my shop with plastic tarp over top of it. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to just using a plastic tarp over some form of a woodshed, but I would say there's more disadvantages than there are advantages. In the advantage column, it's cheap, it's effective, and it's pretty quick to set up. In the disadvantage column, doesn't last very long. You're going to have to replace this tarp every 2 years or so. This one is 2 years old, and you can see all the holes that are already in it. A lot of pollution is going to come from these tarps. Number one, if you're going to have to replace it every 2 years or so, that's a giant tarp that you're going to have to throw away. And then on top of that, if you've ever had one of these tarps break down, they break down into these really small plastic pieces, basically microplastics. And since my water, my neighbor's water, basically everyone's water around here comes from wells and the ground, we really want to limit as much microplastics in the environment as we potentially can have. So, big negatives there. And then, like I say, longevity. Is it really going to be cheaper for you to just keep buying these tarps over and over and over again instead of building a woodshed? Maybe, but there is an in-between. And I'm going to show you that right now. And this is my solution. Now, obviously, there's no wood stacked here. There's nothing on top to keep it covered. So it's a total work in progress, but here's the idea. We got a whole bunch of pallets, 28 feet this direction and about 13 foot this direction. And what I did is I took these pieces of 2x4, cut them to 4 foot lengths, and then nailed them together in an L shape. So we got 4 feet going down on the bottom of the pallet and then 4 feet coming up like this. That's going to give us two helpful things. Number one, it's going to keep the pallet a little bit more steady now that it has a little bit more surface area on the ground. Number two, it's going to just give us a little bit of support as we're stacking the wood. Now, I'm not going to rely on these to make sure that doesn't topple over. It's just, like I say, going to give it a little bit of extra support. Then what we're going to do, after we're done stacking all the wood, getting everything all 4 feet tall, give or take, I have some metal on order that's the same metal that was used to build my shop. The reason that's important is that metal has a whole bunch of grooves set in it. Now, the metal's going to come 3 feet wide, but I have 10 pieces to span this entire distance. Now, how are we going to keep the metal on top of the wood given we only have these corner pieces here, these end pieces? Well, of course, we are going to screw in the end pieces, but those ridges on the metal are going to help it stay interlocked and not fly away in the wind. So a couple cinder blocks on top should be good to go. Once the snow falls, that's going to be even better because now we have that much more weight keeping everything down and solid. Now, of course, first step is getting the wood piled up. As you can see, we don't have enough pallets, so we're going to have to commandeer some pallets that are currently underneath the massive pile of wood back there. So this is going to be a multi-day process of stacking wood in different places, moving it around. The number one thing you don't want to do when heating with wood is moving it more times than you need to. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here in this video. Let's get to work.
In case you think I don't need to worry about firewood this early in the season, from the first day of filming this video to the last day, we will have lost about an hour and 20 minutes worth of daylight, as well as roughly 20 degrees on the average temperature. So not to be too dramatic, but winter is coming. So I spent the better part of yesterday and today bringing up this 2 cords of wood to the top of the hill, and usually I burn about 2.5 to 3 cords of wood per winter, so this isn't the entirety that I'm going to need to get through the winter, but it's going to be a massive head start. And this is going to be part of my 3-part plan for wood storage during the wintertime. You got the main, you got the emergency, and you got the reserve. The main is going to be this right here, the cylindrical stack of wood called a Holdhausen or Holdenhausen. The emergency is going to be used only in the case of major storms and weather events where I don't want to come all the way out here, and that wood's going to be stacked up on my porch. And then the reserve is, take a guess, it's over in the massive pile out by the shop. Without any further ado, I'm going to get to work. Hopefully my time lapse is working. Yeah, let's do it.
When you've got 4 months before the snow comes down, you rise every morning and head on out. You chop and chop till they hit the ground and echo through the forest. There's nothing like the sound of sharp axes, straight trees. Some are for burning, some are for beam, sharp axes, straight trees. Out here's the simple things.
Well, in the words of Bulldozer, it's whiskey time. Alright, so we're back working on the wood. I've been just doing it in my off time here and there, but we're having a storm rolling in right now. A lot of wind, supposedly up to 1.5 inches of rain, which that's a lot of rain. So first step, so I'm gonna get this guy fastened down. All right, that didn't take too long. I had to readjust because that side, the back end or front end, whatever you want to call it, it wasn't lining up like this side. You kind of see the bow that's going on right here from all the weight. So I do plan on kind of adding a brace or two along this side, just, you know, cut them out of 2x4s, but, you know, we got bigger things to worry about right now.
If you ask any woodsman from here to Kalispell, I wager every single one would stand up and tell. It's all just a matter of trying not to freeze. Up in the mountains, you're gonna need sharp axes, straight trees. Some are for burning, some are for beam, sharp axes, straight trees. Out here's the simple things.
So this is gonna have to be the end of the video. Number one, because I wanna upload this video in a couple days, and two, because I'm short a few pieces of metal, and it's gonna take quite a while before I get those sheets of metal. But I hope you enjoyed the progress thus far. We got, I'm gonna guesstimate about 8.5 cords stacked right here, so decent amount. There's off camera, you can't see it, it's behind the stack, but I got another truckload of wood yesterday, so that's another half cord-ish. So it's going good. And then I didn't even touch the dried stuff that's behind the shop. That's still probably going to be covered up with the tarp. Now, this is probably going to be the last year that it's covered up with the tarp, because I'm hoping to really expand the wood storage next year in the springtime, but we shall see. Anyways, I'm going to shut up because I have a lot of editing to do for this video. In the next couple videos, we're going to do a little block on hunting rifles, hunting ammunition, how to make your own ammunition at home, all that cool stuff. So if you're interested, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share this video with someone you think also might enjoy it. Comment down below if you have any comments or questions. And with that, you guys, thank you for watching. Think for yourself, shoot straight, and I will see you next time.